Deep in the African forest, a starving hyena clan spots a lone gorilla and begins a hunt. Hyenas rarely attack adult silverbacks. They're dangerous prey, incredibly strong. But desperation erases caution. The gorilla didn't run, didn't panic. Instead, it moved calmly toward what looked like certain death. But this gorilla had spent the morning doing something that would leave scientists speechless. Digging. Not for food, not for shelter, for survival. What wildlife experts discovered in the footage broke every rule we thought we knew about primate intelligence. One coordinated strike, one pit, one moment that proved we've been underestimating these remarkable creatures all along. The sun barely pierced through the canopy that morning. In this remote corner of the African forest, life moved to an ancient rhythm, until hunger changed everything. For 3 days, a clan of spotted hyenas had found nothing substantial to eat. Starvation does something to pack predators. It makes them desperate, reckless, and on this particular morning, it made this clan very, very dangerous. Their ribs pressed against their mottled coats like ridges of bone. Their eyes, once sharp with cunning, now burned with a different fire. The fire of survival at any cost. The forest floor told the story of their desperation. Tracks circling the same dried watering holes. Scratch marks on trees where they'd vented their frustration. The scattered remains of failed hunts. But the hyenas had no idea what they were walking into. 300 yards away, a silverback gorilla moved alone through the underbrush. Now, here's what's unusual. Gorillas are social creatures. They travel in families, in troops. But this one, he'd been separated from his group during a territorial dispute 2 days earlier. He was vulnerable, exposed, and he knew it. But what the wildlife cameras captured next revealed something extraordinary. As this gorilla foraged for food, he wasn't just eating. He was observing, calculating. His eyes moved with purpose, scanning the perimeter in deliberate sweeps. That's not typical gorilla behavior. That's strategic awareness. And that awareness was about to save his life. Here's where the story takes its first shocking turn. That morning, while searching for termite mounds, a gorilla delicacy, our silverback began digging. But watch carefully. The location he chose wasn't random. It was right next to a fallen tree, partially concealed by brush. And here's what stunned researchers. The hole he was digging was far deeper than necessary for termites. Gorillas dig for food constantly. Shallow excavations just deep enough to reach insects or roots. But this was different. The earth piled high beside him as he worked, his massive hands scooping soil with methodical precision. The depth grew beyond any termite mound, beyond any food cache, beyond anything documented in wild gorilla behavior. Dr. Sarah Chun, a primatologist who studied gorilla behavior for 20 years, told us something remarkable. Gorillas dig for food constantly. But this depth, this location, this timing, researchers had never seen anything like it. The pit was taking shape in a spot that seemed almost theatrical in its positioning, hidden by undergrowth on one side, open on the other, with a fallen tree creating a natural backstop. It looked less like foraging and more like engineering. The question that haunted everyone who later reviewed the footage. Was this gorilla actually planning for something? Was he anticipating danger, calculating angles, preparing a defense? Or was this simply a remarkable coincidence about to intersect with extraordinary luck? The cameras captured every moment of that morning dig, but they couldn't capture intent. They couldn't see inside the mind working behind those intelligent eyes. What drove him to dig so deep? What instinct or intelligence guided his hands? The answer wouldn't come from the morning's footage. It would come from what happened next, when desperation met preparation in the most unexpected way imaginable. The lead hyena's nose caught the scent that morning. Gorilla, alone, close. In the pack's starving minds, this was providence. Now, hyena clans don't typically hunt adult silverback gorillas. They're dangerous prey, incredibly strong, capable of killing with a single blow. But desperation erases caution. The matriarch signaled with a low whoop, and the clan began its approach, moving with a calculated coordination that makes these animals formidable pack hunters. Their paws found purchase on soft earth, their bodies low, their breathing controlled despite the hunger gnawing at their bellies. each step calculated, each movement bringing them closer to what they believed would be their salvation. And here's what makes your heart stop. The gorilla noticed. His head lifted suddenly, nostrils flaring. His body went still, every muscle tensed. The forest's ambient sound seemed to fade as prey recognized predators. He knew he was being hunted. What he did next left everyone watching breathless. Every instinct should have told this gorilla, run, climb, fight. But he did none of those things. Instead, he moved toward the fallen tree, toward the pit he dug that morning. To any observer, this looked like a fatal error in judgment. He was cornering himself, eliminating his own escape routes. The gorilla's movements were deliberate, almost casual, as if he were simply wandering without purpose. But there was purpose. There was calculation in every step. The hyenas saw it too. The pack's excitement was palpable, their pace quickening as their prey appeared to surrender. The distance closed, 40 yards, 30, 20. The gorilla positioned himself with his back to the tree, the pit directly in front of him, concealed by undergrowth and shadows. His massive frame seemed small suddenly, vulnerable against a backdrop of ancient wood. Wildlife cinematographer James Rodriguez, who's filmed predator hunts for 15 years, said something that captures this moment perfectly. He'd watched this footage 100 times. Every time, right at this moment, he wanted to shout run, because it looked like the gorilla just gave up, like he accepted his fate. But had he? Or was something else happening? Something that would redefine our understanding of primate intelligence? 10 yards. The lead hyena's muscles coiled. The pack fanned out, preparing for coordinated strike that would bring down prey 10 times their individual size. The gorilla stood perfectly still, watching, waiting, and then the matriarch launched. 130 pounds of pack predator flew through the air, jaws open wide, targeting the gorilla's throat. The others followed in a cascade of spots and teeth. For exactly 1.3 seconds, it looked like the inevitable tragedy everyone feared. The arc of the lead hyena's body cut through dappled sunlight, a perfect killing trajectory honed by thousands of successful hunts. And then the lead hyena disappeared. The sound was catastrophic. Not the impact of predator meeting prey, but the crash of a body hitting earth 8 feet below ground level. The hyena's call wasn't triumphant. It was confusion, pain, shock. The forest erupted with chaos as 2 more clan members, unable to stop their momentum, tumbled into the concealed pit behind their leader. The remaining hyenas skidded to a halt, their whoops turning to high-pitched yelps of alarm. For 6 seconds, the forest held its breath. Then, slowly, deliberately, the gorilla approached the edge of the pit. He looked down at the 3 hyenas, trapped, injured, but alive, scrambling over each other in panic confusion. And here's what makes this moment absolutely extraordinary. The gorilla didn't gloat, didn't attack. He simply observed, as if confirming his strategy had worked, as if acknowledging that survival sometimes requires intellect over instinct. Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the forest. The remaining clan members scattered, their hunting formation broken by something they'd never encountered, intelligent resistance. When rangers arrived 2 hours later, alerted by research cameras, they found 3 hyenas at the bottom of a pit approximately 8 feet deep and 6 feet wide. The same pit the gorilla had dug that morning. The same pit positioned precisely where charging predators would land. The mathematics of it were stunning. The angle, the concealment, the positioning. This wasn't chance. This was design. Dr. Chen's voice shook when she first described this to colleagues. This wasn't reflexive. This wasn't instinct. This was premeditation. This was a gorilla understanding cause and effect, predicting behavior, and constructing a solution. This was problem-solving at a level researchers had only seen in great apes under laboratory conditions, never in the wild under life-or-death pressure. Now here's a question that's been debated since this footage emerged. Are the hyenas the villains in this story? They were starving, desperate, just trying to survive. The gorilla was defending himself with brilliance. So who's right? Who's wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious how you see this. Is nature too complex for villains and heroes? Let's discuss. The footage went to wildlife researchers first, then slowly spread through the scientific community. The response? Disbelief, debate, and ultimately, a fundamental rethinking of what we know about primate cognition. Because here's what this means. This gorilla demonstrated future planning. He anticipated a threat that hadn't yet materialized. He modified his environment as a defensive strategy. These are cognitive abilities that separate humans from most of the animal kingdom. And a wild gorilla just demonstrated all three. Conference rooms filled with researchers who'd spent lifetimes studying these creatures suddenly questioned everything they thought they knew. The hyenas, by the way, were rescued, treated for minor injuries, and released back to their territory. Rangers tracked the clan for weeks afterward. Interestingly, they never entered that part of the forest again. The matriarch led her pack to hunting grounds far from where intelligence had defeated numbers. Some traumas, it seems, transcend species. This story is bigger than one gorilla and one hyena clan. It's a reminder that intelligence takes many forms. That survival isn't always about strength or speed or numbers. Sometimes it's about the ability to think, to plan, to adapt. Conservationists say this footage has changed funding conversations. Suddenly, protecting gorilla habitats isn't just about preserving a species. It's about preserving a kind of intelligence we're only beginning to understand. That silverback? He was eventually reunited with his troop. Rangers spotted him 3 weeks later, and there he was, back with his family, safe. Sometimes you wonder if he ever thinks about that morning. If gorillas tell stories around their version of campfires. If somewhere in that forest, there's a legend about the day intelligence defeated instinct. So here's what I want you to think about. How many times have we underestimated the intelligence of the animals we share this planet with? How many incredible moments of brilliance happen in forests, oceans, and savannas that no camera ever captures? This gorilla's genius move shocked wildlife experts because we had decided what gorillas were capable of. We had drawn the boundaries of their intelligence. And in one leap, or rather in one trap, those boundaries were shattered. If this story changed how you see animal intelligence, and I think it should, share this video with someone who loves wildlife. Stories like this deserve to be seen. This footage changed science. It changed conservation. And hopefully, it changed how you see the world around you. If you want more stories that challenge what you thought you knew about animals, about intelligence, about survival, subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, keep watching, keep wondering, and never stop being amazed.